Hello, thank you for joining us for this week's Messiah Minutes. A couple things, a couple announcements before we get started here. Tonight we have youth again at 6 o'clock. I ask you to come, volunteer, hang out with us, see what it's all about. I thank you for the meals that you guys have been provided, but I will urge you to say, hey, this is the last one we have signed up for tonight. So please sign up for more meals if you can bring them. You don't even have to stay to serve them. We'd love it if you could. So we can say thank you and pray over the food together. But if not, just drop off food to the church and we can use it on Wednesday night. So that would be great. Tonight again, we have adult service tonight at 6:30. Please join us for that. And then Life Recovery is taking a break for a while, so they're not going to be meeting in the church until the week after Labor Day. So just know that. And then also the baby bottles, we gave out 50. We got back about 25. So even if there's no change in them, please bring them back. So we can give them to the New Path Pregnancy Center and return those to them. If there's change in them, great. We can still accept those, but please bring the bottles back. And then this Sunday, we have Shannon Meyer coming to preach. So please join us Sunday morning. We have Jeremy Lyles is going to do our worship Sunday. So we ask that you just come and join us. Come and join us for youth. Join us for the adult service tonight. Join us on Sunday. We miss you. We love to see you. So come out and see us. That'd be great. Let's dive back into the Word. As you know, I've been talking about holding your thoughts captive. We're going to start with that same scripture in 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verses 3 through 5. It says, "For though we live in the world, we do not wage war as the world does. The weapons we fight with are not weapons of the world. On the contrary, they have divine power to demolish strongholds. We demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, and we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ." So as I've been asking you, are you doing that? Are you spending time daily doing that? I want to look at what Paul says in Romans 12:2 today. He says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." So let's look at what that actually means. Let's look at what he originally meant when he said that, and the words that he actually used. So the original Greek word that Paul used, which is translated now to conform, is a fun word to say. I like saying it. It's called sushi matizo, which is just fun to say. But sushi matizo in Greek means to be molded by something external. Don't miss that. It means to be molded by something external, something outside of yourself. So in modern words, what Paul was saying is, don't let the world around you squeeze you into its own mold, but let God remold you and your minds from within. And notice what Paul starts with in that verse. He starts with "do not," which in Greek, when he wrote it, is in the present imperative verb tense, which means it was to convey stop doing this. Not like don't do it in the future, stop doing it. The command implies that the believers in Rome were already allowing themselves to be shaped to the pattern of the world. And I think that was a huge problem then, and it's a huge problem today. Rome, if you think about what Rome was really built for, it was built in all purposes as one giant mold. It brought people from many different cultures and backgrounds with the intention of molding them to become more Roman. Rome seemed to understand something that Paul is alluding to in this verse, that conforming happens. If you can influence the way people think about things, they will be conformed, whether they want to be or not. That was true then, and that's just as true now. Now, I'm not a culture basher. I live in the culture. I love a lot of things about our culture. I watch TV, I watch movies. Maybe I know a trending TikTok video dance or two. But I'm convinced we also need to understand that this world that we live in has certain patterns. It has certain patterns, and it's constantly trying to squeeze us into its mold. So I want you, as you spend your time with God, I want you to think about how your life has been molded. And I think when you do that, it's natural. A lot of us, we find ourselves getting defensive, maybe making some excuses. I know I did when I started looking at this. The common excuse was, I didn't know. Or it wasn't intentional. But everyone is being molded, so it's not a big deal. That may be true, whether or not it was intentional. Our lives will always come out in the shape that they're molded in. Think about if you're cooking, if you're molding something, it's going to come out in that shape. If you're building a sandcastle, it's going to come out in that shape of the bucket. Our lives are always going to come out in the shape that they're molded to. And to a great extent, this mold is determined by your thoughts. Proverbs 4:23 puts it this way: "Be careful how you think, because your life is shaped by your thoughts. So let's look at ways that our thoughts can mold our lives. I want to start today with our emotions. I think it often seems for a lot of people, especially younger people, that they think, our emotions are outside of our control. And therefore, we can't help the way that we feel. Or we assume we would feel differently if circumstances were different. But there's a relationship between our thoughts and our feelings. God created our brains with different systems that help us process our emotional and behavior responses, and God has given us the tools to help shape that behavior. It's an incredible gift of freedom when you actually use it. We're not just locked into this certain reaction that we have to have. We actually have a choice. So how would that actually look? Let's look at an example of how that looks. Let's say, you've really been praying over and you've been thinking about this new job opportunity that you have. You have a job interview, you're super anxious about it. And you start to get down. You start to tell yourself, hey, you know what? I'm going to be stuck in this same job. I don't even know why I'm trying. I'm not going to get that job. It doesn't even really matter if I go to the interview. I think we all do that. We all get anxious. But when you actually stop and remind yourself, hey, you know what? I'm actually really qualified for this job. I have all the training I need for this job. And I really want this job. I know that I can do this job and I can do it well. By saying that to yourself and thinking about that, you actually get to reduce your anxiety. You become calmer. And actually, studies have shown that you will have a better interview. You will do better in that situation when you tell yourself that you're qualified, when you tell yourself you're going to do better in that situation. Much better than if you wouldn't have taken the time to think positively about something. So there's a lot to be said about that. There's a lot to be said about the way you think and the way you self-talk to yourself. It's kind of redundant, the way you self-talk. What we think about actually triggers the release of these neurotransmitters in our body, like serotonin, dopamine. All of these things, these chemicals in our body, influence our emotional state. And that's the way God made us. When we start to understand that, we can begin to take a more intentional role in experiencing the emotions of our life. We get to contribute to those. And it also helps us appreciate the Bible a lot more. The encouragement that's found in there, that if we set our minds on things above, and similar statements like that. It's almost like God knew how our brains work. It's almost like He put them together that way. Next week, we're going to talk about some questions to think about as you process this connection between your mind and your emotions. Like, what situation constantly triggers a very strong emotional response in me? Can I take that captive? Can I think differently? Can I apply something different? Another question, what is the situation that I keep finding myself in, and what is my response? How would it change if I changed my attitude, if I changed my thinking around it? How do my emotions shift when I intentionally change my thinking? I want you to keep working on that stuff. I want you to keep spending the quiet time with God, because I know as you do it, He's going to reveal your thoughts and He's going to transform them by teaching you how to hold them captive. I fully believe that. I'll give you an example. Last week I was gone. I was at a camp preaching for high school and junior high kids, a church camp, and man, it was great. The Holy Spirit was flowing, and I just had a great time. Didn't sleep well. I'm not, probably built for bunkhouses with 25 teenagers, but that's not the point. I came back feeling rejuvenated, refueled in the Spirit. I got here Monday morning to church, and man, it was just a Monday, man. Everything was wrong, and everything felt like, hey, I was gone and nothing got done. I got to clean up all these messes. I got to do all this stuff. And I felt really, the Spirit really convicted me. Only because I took the time to have a moment to be silent, have a moment to reflect. And He told me, He's like, hey, who are you serving? Did you show up this Monday to work to serve yourself, or did you show up to serve me? And it's only in those moments where we take time to pause and reflect and spend time with Him that He can actually transform our hearts and our minds. And He allowed me to hold that thought captive, to say, you know what? That's true. I'm not serving myself today. I want to serve You. I want to serve Your kingdom. I want to do what You called me to do. And I want to do that as if I'm doing it for You directly. So it changed my whole attitude Monday. Just moments like that. You can do that. You have that ability. He's built that in you. And I just pray that you use it, that you learn to meditate with Him, to spend time with Him, so He can do that through the power of Jesus Christ in your life. I thank you. I love you. I appreciate you all. I hope you have a great week, and I hope to see you either tonight or Sunday, wherever. I hope to see you. Come out and see us. Thank you.